Welcome off the trails. I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take you on a mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on the Spacedoutradio YouTube channel. If you guys haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. We would so appreciate the love. Shout out to Bumblefoot for that amazing intro music. I always appreciate that. And please, if you guys don't already, go follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Space Out Radio. You guys can find me at thecryptidhuntress.com, and I have a kick-ass YouTube channel. I hope you guys will go subscribe if you haven't already. The Cryptid Huntress, where I put out a couple of live shows every week, and one of them involves remote viewing. And so if anyone would like to support what I'm doing and to follow along with my remote viewing data, go join my Patreon, please. I would love to have you guys be a part of my Patreon family. That's the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon, of course. Also, I have a shop. It's called War Woman Goods, if anyone is interested in throwing a little support over that way as well. So thank you guys so much for all of your love. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all. This has been an amazing ride so far. Okay. Well, I have an amazing guest here, another fantastic guest. Actually, I have a surprise second guest tonight. So we have two guests here at Spaced Out Radio tonight. Don't forget that right after this show, After Hours has a really great program set up for us. Okay. So without further ado, let's get to our guest tonight. Travis Willier Moostoos is an actor, artist, and writer. He starred in APTN, Secret History of the Wild West, and various other shows across many different platforms. Travis is a knowledge and story holder of his Cree people in his area of northern Alberta, Canada, and is an active UFO paranormal investigator. He's here today, of course, to share his experiences and with UFOs, Bigfoots, ancient connections of Native America to the Star Nations and the universe beyond. And what you guys don't know is that I have Barry Littleton here with us tonight, too. We're going to be the dynamic trio over here tonight. I have a duo of fantastic guests. So Barry Littleton is a good friend of mine, a fantastic researcher, an experiencer. He has had a near-death experience. You guys can go find him over on Patreon and on YouTube at Barry Littleton, okay? And so I would love to introduce tonight to the show our number one guest here, the main one. What's up, Travis?
Hi.
Hey, Travis.
Hey,
welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight.
I'm glad to be back. You know, I'm just like, I'm always happy to be here to come and share some of these teachings and knowledge that I hold within my mind, I guess.
Well, thank you. Listen, I love talking with you. We have the best conversations. And recently, I and Barry Littleton actually did a show together, and everything blew my mind. Like, we had such great conversations. So I invited Barry tonight to come join us. So I would like to introduce Barry Littleton to the chat tonight. Hey, Barry.
Hey, greetings. Greetings to both of you, the audience and everybody. How's everybody doing? Honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Very cool.
Well, thank you. Thank y'all both for being here. You know, the last time we were together, this was over on my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress. We talked about Sasquatch and UFOs and that connection. We talked about a lot of stuff, including little people and entities. And I don't know. We went there. We went all over the board that day. And I thought maybe today we could kind of do the same, or this evening, however you guys are feeling. So, yeah. I think that us three together, you two guys in particular, I mean, y'all are both fan favorites here at Spaced Out Radio, and so it's just a given to bring you guys together, and to make this happen. This is an all-star lineup tonight. So, yeah, absolutely, Barry. I was really interested in some videos that you just put out, and I know that Travis has a lot of insight on the hairy man, on Sasquatch. Right? And so I thought maybe we could talk about some of the Sasquatch communication that you've been looking into and doing shows on tonight. And I don't know, how do you feel about that, Travis? Is that cool with you?
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Okay. Wow,
wonderful.
Getting that tone, the big time. This must be important because I'm getting buzzed over here hard. You know the tone that you hear, the higher frequency?
Excellent.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's this time that we're in right now, it's very interesting to me because I'm watching that, we just went through this major solar cycle, and then what's happening again. I've said this before. We're at a point of where nuclear war is a threat again, and things are just not going well. And I'm noticing that as far as communication, like UFOs, UAP, that's happening now. It's just a happening thing to talk about that now. Bigfoot is just a topic now. That's like, and I mean, when I say that, I mean,
right.
Like, especially here in the United States, I'm noticing that's not, scoffed at half, but it's also a real topic and something happening and unregulated right now. And maybe this is the way that we become this type 1 civilization, because something's got to break through this whole deal. And it's just very interesting to me, and I've been being pushed by what I would assume is not just spirit, but the Sasquatch to put out all these videos I had on Patreon. Be honest, I was unaware there was not many of them, but every week I've been putting one out, and it's just fascinating. So I think that's what they're wanting, and I've got a few more left for a few more weekends, and that's it. That'll be my piece for that. But I don't know. It's interesting times.
Very interesting times. What do you think about that, Travis? Would you agree with Barry on that? I agree with Barry.
Oh, it's definitely interesting. I'll agree on that. It's definitely interesting. So, yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Hopefully not fatal, right, Travis?
Yeah. No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Well, hey, maybe cryptids will save the world, you guys. I don't know. I mean, that did, encountering cryptids did put me on my spiritual path, okay, so to speak. So, I mean, and I think that does with a lot of people. It wakes us all up. It gets our minds jarred in a certain particular way, and it gets everybody to think differently about stuff. So maybe cryptids, maybe Sasquatch, maybe aliens, maybe this is a catalyst to wake people up.
By the way, I want to compliment you again on that Chupacabra show we did. That was just a good target. You did really good, and it was just a very informative show. Anybody that didn't see it, I would recommend maybe check it out. It just was really good. So I want to say thank you for that again.
Oh, you're welcome. Travis, I don't know if you saw that, but Barry tasked me with a blind target of El Chupacabra out of Puerto Rico. Okay.
Yeah.
1995. Did I say that? Did that sound authentic there? It was from 1995. And it was a blind target, because Travis is a remote viewer too, everybody. Okay. And so I was given a set of coordinates, and I was picking up on all the stuff that people allegedly this Chupacabra was made of. Okay. And it was amazing. That was a great show. So yeah. Well,
excellent.
It turned out to be like a chimera of sorts, right, Barry? It was almost like a mammal reptilian kind of alien porcupine thing.
Well, dinosaur. It came out a lot of dinosaurs.
Some prehistoric. Yeah, definitely. Whoa. Yeah. And still a few of those things running around for sure.
Yeah, Travis, what do you know about the Chupacabra? Have you studied it?
I'm pretty sure it was leaving dried animals, like blood, like they would drain the blood and stuff, right? And it was known to be seen at night with glowing eyes and different little things like that. And or it was located sometimes out in deserts and but yeah, that's pretty much all I know about it. But it, like I said, that from what you guys were saying there, I'd be saying the same thing. It seems like a prehistoric kind of beast, and that's sounds like you guys got that one pretty good there.
It was wild, Travis. Barry. When I was picking up on what the target was, I just kept getting dinosaurs, and I was getting all sorts of reptilian mammal stuff. It didn't make any sense. It kind of was just, but it's not my job to make sense of it. It's my job to just write the data down. Right. Yeah. And so, it all made sense when I found out what the target was. So, the Chupacabra.
Well,
I mean, these cryptids are wild.
Yeah. Genetics coming in here on meteors that might have Mars origin too. Got quite a suit going on there for, I don't want to say
Soup, a
word.
cryptid soup.
Well, no, it's an abomination.
Oh, oh man.
I mean, anything that uses a proboscis to suck the life force and blood out of
Like a
its
mosquito.
victims. And coming like that, and the amount of mammals that do that are very few. So that's a whole other thing going on there. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, no,
that puts an insectoid genetics with it too.
right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, it came from the data. It suggested that it came from the stars. It did come from Mars. There was some kind of microorganism that has some connection to it, Barry. And my job is just to channel the information. Like Travis knows, we channel the information, but I don't know what any of it means. so it was really cool to put all that together. So yeah, if anyone would like to see that, y'all go to the Cryptid Huntress and go click on that show. It was from last Thursday night. So it was good stuff. But yeah, speaking of the stars, Travis, you have quite a connection to star people and the star beings and UFOs even. And I know you've sent me videos or pictures of various UFOs that you've encountered. Have you had any kind of activity recently?
Oh yeah, definitely. Sometimes they are going by and like they're so far out, like they are indistinguishable, but like there are some that have happened recently where they've just stopped mid-flight and hung out for a little bit and then continued on, and then and it's pretty cool. Like I solid light object in the sky, spherical object, you know what I mean, like a bright kind of like I don't want to say orb because it was like a bright object and clearly flying like that. And then yeah, there's been a few of those, and then at time from time people will say they've seen stuff during the day flying, like silver objects in the sky, squares and platform kind of styles. And like, yeah, so like there's been a lot of that out there. And but yeah, no, like a lot of these connections do go way back to the ancient times and ancient peoples. And like a lot of these like the UFOs and beings, we always classified them like they were like considered like guardians and like the ancestors and connections to our origins. And they helped us out with our our spirituality and a lot of our teachings and connectedness with our lands. And that's like part of the reasons why we do a lot of our ceremonies too, is that our gratitude to them and always giving thanks to them for our life and our connectedness with this earth. And that's pretty much like like it goes way back. Like it's like our origins. That's what we always consider ourselves, as the star people or beings. Like we came from them, right? Constellation beings, I should say. But yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, there's been so much UFO activity lately, and it's in the news all the time now. And it's I don't know if it's just people are waking up to it or it's just being shown more. I don't know. What do you think, Travis?
Yeah. These beings, like they were always saying that they were going to return or eventually come back, or even like maybe it is a time for our I should say like the human race to what Barry was saying, becoming a type 1 civilization. And the realization that we aren't alone is like is one step into that direction, right? Is like, because we are definitely not alone. And but yeah, like it's always been part of our like in our teachings and our directions, like the way we view our world and the dimensions, right? Like so these ultra beings, ultra terrestrials and dimensional beings, like they've always been around in ancient times, and it's just as much a natural part of the world as we are to this universe. And we're all connected, and it's an amazing thing. So like when we say all our relations, like when we say that at the end of our prayers and stuff, we really mean that every being like out there in the universe, and all, because we're all connected at the end of the time, right? So it's like it's a very beautiful thing in that sense, right? When you finally make that realization. And but yeah, it is definitely there. The connections are there.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Barry, have you had any UFO experiences lately? What's been going on in your world when it comes to that?
Well, I get information from the star beings quite frequently. For example, I'm going to be making a few videos actually tomorrow and this week. But one of them is going to be probably about like building stars, and something that Tony Rodriguez and I had discussed briefly. And it's just, so I had some experiences that I can't remember them all. I need more regressions like most people, but I have a memory of being somewhere near the sun. And this, this was coming through too. When you were doing the remote viewing, you started talking the weaponizing portals and the sun was coming up. And what I've seen, and it's also, and even further back it happened was, things that trigger our memory. When I would look at the Soho website and see some of those things that were blocking the solar flares going in and out of the sun, those huge ships that would have to be the size of Jupiter or bigger, and then some of the things that come in with the deal. Also, I had a question. Travis, you talked about a lot of different craft that are being seen. Are any of them that you've seen or been reported like those TR3B, those triangle type things?
Yeah, there's a few of them like that. That have been going around. Those are pretty common though. Like some of them are given down to the human race and whatnot, right? But like, they are pretty common out there amongst ET races. Like it is like a pretty, standard craft out there. But those have been seen around. And then we even get like the different kind of like colored ones, like they'll flash green or red and stuff like that. And then then we have the odd, I like to call them the horseshoe kind, right? And they look like horseshoes, and they're very, they're kind of like I said, the shape of a horseshoe, and they're like almost like silver, white, grayish craft, but you can actually see like little like indents on them, like little dark indentations on them. Anyway, those go around, and then you have the cubes, and like I said, I like to call them the cubes of power. But dimensional cubes of power. But I like to call them that.
Did somebody say cubes? I'm just saying.
Yes.
I asked that because I have different clients, and it's so interesting because for one is that I've had experiences my whole life, but they're not SSP related. They're not negative, and they're not that type of experience. You know what I mean? But I'm very understanding for those that have had that. But, lately I've had clients, several, and it's interesting when they're not, especially someone you wouldn't think they're not into the UFO thing and the extraterrestrial thing. But then during these, these regressions, they've had contact, a lot of it. Yeah. A couple of clients have had these triangles come up on them when they're camping.
Yeah.
And then they describe being abducted onto these things and having these horrible experiments done and a horrible type of a whole system going on. I'm very sympathetic to that. And these are people that know they're just normal, that wouldn't be expecting that to come out of regression any more than I would. But it is what it is. And if each time that this negative thing, and they're selectively picking people out of a group at night when people are camping out there, especially like Boy Scout groups and Girl Scout groups, stuff like that. That's what these people were describing. And, and it's just, I don't know. It's just a dark thing again, right? Let's just throw the laboratories in there too, Jessica, just all this stuff going on. It's
right.
Sorry, that's why I was asking that. Sorry, I didn't mean to divert us, but I was just curious how often that was reported that you knew of, because I think it's maybe a negative thing going on with that, more than just the TR3B as we're familiar with. There's something more sinister going on.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of like the whole the first I guess I should say when people's like first intake of like extraterrestrials would be like a freaky movie, and that's always what it is, right, with the extraterrestrials. So like when people have these regressions, sometimes it is like that's their only way of interpreting it, because that's their only thought of extraterrestrials was these freaky moments they've seen or bared witness to in these films, and little did they know that was like being programmed in their mind, right? Like that was their first thought about it. But what I was getting at though is like sometimes there is like these people do have like these like real wild experiences, and like I'm not discrediting any of that, like you know what I mean, like there are some like negative forces out there, like some negative like beings and whatnot, but like for the most part I haven't encountered any of that kind of stuff, right? Like when it comes to like being like encountered by the ET, like sure there is like negative like spirit beings and like other dimensional like beasts and stuff like that. But like I'm talking like ET wise, like the extraterrestrials, the ultra terrestrials. Like it's just because whenever I was going into it, I always aligned with more like the light path and light beings of that in that sense. So I was always interconnected with that in nature, and it was always like in a very I should say a very ceremonial based kind of like situation or scenario that was going on. So it was never like in a bad like kind of like setting, or you know what I mean, like I was never in like a bad area that I shouldn't have been, like where they were at, or you know what I mean, like kind of deal. But
you and I both fit in that same category. And you know, when dealing with sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say though?
With the positive experiences, we fit in that category. And you know, when dealing with Ray Hernandez that runs the CCRA Edgar Foundation for Extraterrestrial Encounters, you know, they did that huge survey on thousands of experiencers all over the globe. And you know, when you see the scale of the negative versus positive versus unknown, the scale is remarkably skewed for those that have had positive encounters.
Yeah.
And the negative encounters is a very small percentage. And it's not what you would expect to see at all when you're dealing with what you see in the media. But that does show how much the media influences us and, you know, entrains our brains with this negative contact and negative experiences, to where with that field of energy we come through. And Jessica, you remote viewed that net, it's real. Okay. And when we come through that, there's something electrical that shocks us, wipes part of our soul memories. Okay, and then and then it starts that whole thing of starting getting trapped here and not knowing what's going on. These fools run around telling people not to go into the light when you die, helping people get more trapped earthbound spirits. You know, but anyway, you and I fall in that percentage of the positive. But knowing about that net and knowing how we have this divine field and what we've talked about on this show several times, what these black holes actually are. These MACOs, how they're the hard drives of the universe, and how everything that goes through becomes part of that quantum hologram, and what people are calling the akashic records.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with that, all right, you have civilizations that are 10,000 years beyond us, millions of years beyond us, that no longer even exist. What they're calling type 5 and type 6, all these different levels of civilizations, they no longer exist except within that quantum hologram, within the akashic records. And those function like our brain waves. So that means that you have encounters and a higher intelligence, higher frequency is interacting with you, but through the entrainment of the brain and negative encounters and this scalar frequency we have going on here, you start turning this into a horribly negative experience. We are that powerful. We do have some free will, and we are creators. As parts of the God principle, the creative force crosses us, period. We do have the creative. And, you know, we can turn these things into negative. And I'm seeing now, and the people that I've dealt with professionally now, and these regressions, I mean, some of them are good people that aren't into this stuff, but they have grandfathers going back. They're in the Air Force and going back, fathers and grandfathers, and they've been being harassed for a long time. They're targeting these people. It's really a trip. On top of the frequency, on top of these dark labs and everything else, triangles, and I'll just shut up because it's negative.
I was listening. I was getting into it.
Yeah. No, I'm totally into it though, Barry. I really am. I think a lot of us are, because a lot of us have experienced potential abduction experiences and things like that. And to me, you know, I've had a couple of experiences firsthand with ETs. Or what I perceive to be ETs in my house and things like that I talk about pretty often now. I used to never talk about it, but now I'm amongst friends, you know. And
you wouldn't talk about it when we first met, even in person?
No, I didn't. Well, because I wasn't comfortable talking about it. And, you know, and it takes a lot for me to open up to people about stuff like that. You know, y'all know I didn't go public with my Bigfoot research for 10 years before I did.
Wow.
So... There's just something to it, but now I think people are more open about it. I feel free to talk about it on Spaced Out Radio, here because with Travis and Barry Littleton, I'm cool talking with you guys and everybody in our chat. We're all very open about it, and we've all experienced similar things, so I'm okay with it. But a lot of people do have. My experiences were never negative. They weren't positive either, though. They just were. If that makes sense, and I think a lot of people have the same experience.
Right.
So.
I just wanted to. Go ahead. Okay. I was just gonna say I wanted to answer Susie B's question there. She was asking if have you ever encountered the blue skin Native Americans with your colorful designs on their skin? You know what? It's like. Also, too, like it also goes back to the ancient the teachings of the wheels, right? Like the medicine wheels, the colors, like the modern medicine wheel is the color, like the colors of the skin today. But the very first wheel was red, blue, orange, and I'm pretty sure, it was purple. Yeah, red, orange, blue, and purple. Yeah. And so those are the very first skin colors of the world, and then green was always involved in the middle because I always represented like Earth, right? And it still does that today with the, with the yellow, the red, with the blue, and the yellow, the red, the white, and the black now, and then in the middle is green still for the Earth, Mother Earth. It's still represented as the Earth, and but yeah, it's so it's the teachings are there, right? And but yeah, these the blue people, blue skin is always it's pretty common out there. So it is out there, people still did have the skin. Color blue skin for quite some time. There's still some people like that. I'm sure of it out there.
That's interesting. Travis, the Uranta book, a big old thick book. One problem I have with it, of course, is the racial section in it, but it does discuss the different colors that have been here of melanin here, and they talk a lot about the green, the blue, these different types. And I've encountered blue extraterrestrials from the Andromeda area. Oh, cool! Like the color wheel itself.
It's the wheel.
Yeah, the wheels. So that's just I was just trying to show you. Those are that's So those are my diagrams that I put together. But so those what you're saying. Yeah, those are ancient colors of the world, and the representations of that, and so. Yeah, you were going over a book, and it was saying something along the lines of that, or
it's called the Uranta book, and it the problem I have with it when it comes to basically what we would call melanin dominant, really dark people, they just dismiss us completely, but they talk about all the other races going from the red man to the orange man, green man, and it's very interesting, and it makes me look at things like some of the encounters that are in different countries where they've had with these green people, they say, that look of Asian descent, the green extraterrestrials. I find that stuff very fascinating, and how much is being hidden from us when dealing with especially ethnic extraterrestrials. Nobody wants to talk about that. Keep it along with Fabio and Christy Brinkley.
Fabio.
Oh yeah, Pleiadians,
the blonde hair, blue eye.
They always like that, right?
Tall whites, yes.
Don't get me started. Get me started, Jones.
They're all over the board, though. There's such a nice variety of extraterrestrials out there. You and I we've experienced a couple ourselves. So we do have a question in the chat tonight from Ange. Are the Akashic records universal information or just Earth information on your soul information? What do you guys think?
I believe it's universal to the soul on that level.
Okay.
Consciousness mass, universal connection. Yeah, for sure.
That's what I would think
throughout
too.
the whole
How the Akashic records, like I said, they're actually black holes, and what you have is all information that goes in is creating that copy. And what black holes are actually called is MACO, magnetically eternally collapsing object. And what that is just inside of the black hole is this mechanism called the MACO, and it actually records. It makes the quantum hologram, and also the way you see a black hole has an accretion disk around it. The MACO is the same way. Okay, so the information that flows in from the universe wraps around. So the inside of it is going to be the beginning of the universe. All the way to the outside of it is going to be where we're at now. So that's the way you see the look of the accretion disk, and also the Mako the same, but the Mako is the Akashic records. And the Akashic records and the black hole itself, the Mako operates on what is called conscious waves. So conscious waves actually occur in two waves, spherical and helical. And we have also microtubules in our brain, which are spherical, and we can therefore access the black holes, the Makos, through the conscious waves, spherical. So they operate like brain waves. The Akashic records operates like brain waves. That's hard science that's coming out of those observatories right now. That's how I learned this stuff, you know. But it's
and then that's us all data fed in from the universe itself. So that's how I was just saying, like, it's just like a just like collective of all that, that data. So no, it's wild, dude. That's great. I love that. Because it's spinning out, man. It's like I like it.
The only way we can access the Akashic records is through thought, and so that means actually the speed of thought is how we deal with black holes. I'd ask people like Dr. Rudy Shields, how fast do they think the speed of thought is? And he gave me a figure with some experiment that was 100,000 times the speed of light. So that means it's like, that changes everything. We don't need the Enterprise. We got something else going on.
Definitely.
That would be warp 4, warp 5, warp 6. We're going for warp 100,000.
It seems like things are speeding up right now. Are they? Or am I imagining that? What do y'all think?
And spiritually, dimensionally, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. Like, definitely. I see things in that heading in that direction for sure. It looks great.
It looks great. Guns blazing. All speed ahead, right? Full speed ahead.
That's a great question. It's a great question. Cool.
Yeah, that was. I enjoyed that. That was a nice one. I appreciate it. And the deeper insight into that, literally, right into the, the black hole of it all, man. Well, I love that. I love that. How far we're gonna go in there.
That goes really heavy, because when we just talked about the black holes, the Makos. The Makos are also, they've scientifically, quantum physics has connected to the individual molecule of our body. So when we start talking about black holes of the body and wormholes of the body, and these species, like some of the melanated species that the whistleblower was talking to me about, and other contactees are talking to me about, these brothers that can actually teleport themselves interstellar without using technology, they're doing that. They're using these black holes in every molecule, these Makos in every molecule to do it. So it's very, very interesting. We start getting into this stuff and the actual full premises of it,
Oh yes, definitely. That's reality there with that, the self teleportation, and then also dimensional sight and insight and all that connection. Oh, it's definitely natural connections, and these are can be definitely attained. That's like I said, it was it's on our dimensional on our dimensional wheel, like it's in the direction of the east, because that's more of the physical, like in this, like on ourselves, like we could see dimensionally or get those visions or travel or or do these like dimensional teleportations. Like even in dreams you can switch your realities and stuff like that into another reality that's very similar, and just this all these other stuff, right? And then to the south direction we have interdimensional. Those are like going in between, like using the earth, and like it's very within objects like crystals or beings like the moon, or teleportation with the suns and stuff like that. And that's like where orbs can fit in between there and dimensional, which is in the west direction. That's where you get your ETs and Bigfoots and all those other cryptids and whatnot, right? And then in between there can be like the insectoids and stuff and reptilians that come out of the earth, like in the inner earth portals and stuff like that. So you have the interdimensional and dimensional, and then to the upper top, to the north, we have the ultra dimensionals. That's where creation is, and that's where the creation of dimensions begins, and like the spirits of all beings go, and like it's like like I said, it's just like that total encompassing where everything all connects, and yeah, that's just like how we look at our directions of like the dimensions, right? And our dimensional wheel, I should say. But
That's cool. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah,
it's all mapped out. I had no idea. It's all mapped out and stuff. Margie, thank you for that super sticker. That's very sweet of you. It's mapped out.
I couldn't help but catch something that you had said at the beginning, my friend. It was involving dreaming kind of in a way, and being in not two places at once, but how, we can actually convert our cognitive abilities into the dream body itself. And then that operates, and it doesn't conform to any of these parameters that this body does. I'm going to throw this out real quick. When I was younger, I had a very big interest in Carlos Castaneda and what he learned from the novels. All right. And the people would always say, well, it's not real, it's just fiction. Well, have you tried any of the techniques? They look at me, no. Well, if it's all fiction, how come if you try some of his techniques, they have a manifestation and effect in the third dimensional world? Why is that? But it comes out totally that, when he was dealing with Don Juan and Don Janero, these shamans, they were showing up with a certain glint in their eyes and doing things that were making him crap on himself, that were like defying levitating and doing all sorts of crazy things he couldn't take, would make his bowels go crazy, and they would laugh at him. But the truth is, they were showing up in a dream body. All right. And those cats are off crash somewhere. They're bilocating and they're doing this whole thing. And I'm going to throw this out while I'm even saying this whole wild thing. I'm going to do a video over this. I think that Sasquatch, some types of them, the more advanced ones, I think they're dreamers. Oh, yeah. I'm saying this based on how often when I've been somewhat obsessed, and they touch my life. So I've been obsessed, listening to just hours and hours of accounts. Different people. Dixie Cryptid, he does a lot. Bigfoot Case Files, Bigfoot Project. All these people are doing all these encounters. I listen for hours and hours of them. But the amount of people who walk up on Sasquatch and they're crashed out, I find that very interesting. As aware they are of everything, and as much as they avoid people, how the hell are they going to crash out close to a campsite or somewhere? You know what I mean? Or in somebody's barn.
It is odd.
I think they're dreamers, and the amount of time that we see these beings and they don't move like trees, standing there for hours, and the things they do when they become actually impervious to bullets and these things. I'm gonna do another one over the military. I've done one before, but it wasn't as good. I'll do another one. But how they said, this guy was saying, it's BS when people say they can't be shot. We brought them down. But I'm sure they have. But, when I think they're in that dream form and cognitively switched over, they're impervious to a lot of the things. They're unmanifested, all the things we've talked about. So I just want to throw that out there as food for thought, if nothing else. But you touched on that, and I know your culture is masters of the dream art. So I can appreciate that, man.
Yeah, they've entered in through portals in our ceremonies, and like as spirits, and like given guidance, and have actually taken upon like people like as guardians, like they're gonna watch over these people throughout their walk in life and be there, and as a spirit, like their guide in life, and and then those people have earned like the name of Bigfoot themselves, like they've gotten the spiritual name Bigfoot, and there's like a few other things like that have happened like that, like including like the healings and stuff where they have come in and assisted with healing and whatnot, and yeah, like I said, like this energy, the spirit form comes in, and sometimes you'll hear them, and then other times people will see them, or you will get visions, and it's pretty cool. It's really good stuff though. But yeah, in that sense. So like I said, they do have spirits. So there are some that are like, just like I said, dimensionals, and they're, physical too. And then they're amongst us, and just as natural to this world as we are. And like I said, highly dimensional. And then their spirits return like that too. So
have you ever got mind speak from them?
Yeah. Mind speak. Yep. Definitely. Yep. And
have you got it?
Yeah. Yeah, they have been there to like mention things and stuff, like talk about life, and they've been there to say like I said, that's where where we learned about where they put their bones, and they just talked about like the circle of life, like how they believe in returning back to the earth, and like so like when they die, they put their bones underneath they bury them underneath trees, right? So it goes back to the trees, and
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
So it's like, yeah.
Trees. Wait, there's another connection with trees, Barry.
Goes back to
Something you and I talk about. Okay. It always comes back around to trees, you guys. So
And they
Sasquatch and trees.
And they believe in the circle. That's their circle of life, they say. So there you go.
Oh my gosh, Barry. You know, this is how we connect the dots, is coming together and talking about our stories together, Travis. Thank you. You know, Barry, the last time Barry came on Spaced Out Radio, he and I discussed walking trees and shape-shifting Sasquatch. So what are the odds?
You know, I put out a video that was about Sasquatch and what in Europe they call the green man. And I think in America they call it the forest man, but how they're actually the same thing. And, you know, you know, when I had been on that place, that ranch, I was taking these pictures around this place, and this thing was beating me and taking these apples. And I mean, I couldn't understand it. I mean, I was on patrol, my friend. I was on duty, and this thing was beating me in every, you know, period. And I see that it was pointing out to me the pictures I was taking. You can see this thing looking at me. It's taller than the earth, but it's partially camouflaged, and it's just staring at me. So it means it was there, I don't know how long, hours, my friend, maybe days, just watching me the whole time. And I mean, I could do nothing but be totally in awe of the masterful ninja type of predator.
Ninja Squatch. Is that a new one? Ninja Squatch.
I get all excited because it's pretty heavy, you know.
It is. And Ange, thank you for that super sticker. You are so sweet. We appreciate you at Spaced Out Radio. And also Aussie Sue, thank you for that super sticker. You are the sweetest. Man, y'all are all the sweetest. Thank y'all so much for your support. We really appreciate that. Yeah, we're putting out some really interesting information tonight, guys, and I think the audience is really enjoying it. So, this connection is wild.
Somebody in chat said something. I'm sorry, I'm getting too excited this time. I haven't been looking as much at the comments, but somebody had said something about the DNA, and you know, when dealing with that DNA, and we already know that the mitochondrial DNA is of different types of humans. That much they can trace. But that nuclear DNA that's not in GenBank or anywhere, that I think Pleiadians talking about, Ketchum is talking about. And my question is, what star beings is that? You know, I had done this regression, and this individual, it's a life between lives, Travis. And that's when we go back and, you know, what happens the last lifetime, and then in between that one, each one. And this individual, the guide will come and go over what's going in that lifetime and help incorporate it into their spirit matrix, the lesson. And they normally take them to this place that I call a place of translation and reconfiguration. And normally it's somewhere like a library or an office or something, even a lake, something like that. But this one was different. This was some type of like a starship. And on board the guide, they always announced themselves. It was a type of a Sasquatch, but larger than we're accustomed to, with some type of a uniform on, changed itself into a gold ball and then back into a Sasquatch. And it's talking about being royalty for the genetics of the ones that are here. And it makes me think of how they call the blueprint of humanity, the human frame, is like the Adam Kadmon. So what is the blueprint of the Sasquatch? They're claiming it's them. And, you know, before that, I had done this interview with Pork and Beans, and Michael Harrell kept talking about these higher type of Sasquatch on these different ships. But the thing about this ship and this life between lives was that the client was describing doing this reconfiguration in this crystalline chamber, then after emerging and having to choose between universes, man. And then I had them like, which universe? And they described several of them. One of them being gelatinous, amoebas the size of planets that are all sentient, Very interesting. It blew me away. You know what I mean? But when dealing with some of these concepts of what we are, it's fascinating, isn't it?
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers, but it gave me more questions than I had answers at that point. But
yeah, no, there's a definite path, right? You're on. So that's awesome that you're figuring out more as you go, and that's the whole point of any of this, right? We're all on this journey, right? And a journey of this circle of life, and along that circle, we pick up knowledge as we go, and we carry that knowledge and pass it on and share and continue to learn more and see more and understand more and develop more and. But like at the same time, like I'm just like I'm thinking about all the animals and like how they understand their connection to the stars, and that was one thing I had mentioned like a while ago, but I'll mention it again. Like I always feel like the animals aren't always like they're not they're not as unique as we think they are. Like they're out there as well. They're always so out there as beings, and also as like just how they function here on the earth as well too, and like I said, all sorts of different kind of stuff, man. You'd be surprised, but like I said, we all come from out there, and like I said, our origins out there in the stars, and it's like I said, it's a beautiful thing when we all realize that connection.
Yeah.
I believe it. I had a set of amazing guests here at Spaced Out Radio when I was sitting in for Dave Scott. One weeknight, I had Stephen and Evan Strong, a son and a father out of Australia, who I love referring back to this interview that I did with them, because they call it the out of Australia theory, I believe, and it's where human life was seeded in Australia. Okay, not out of Africa, where we all come from, primates and all that kind of stuff. It was such an interesting conversation. That was actually one of my favorite interviews that I've done on space. I mean, my favorites are with you guys too, okay? but that was one of my top interviews that I've done, talking to them about that and this alien technology they had on these rocks that they had in their possession, and the skulls of the moon-eyed people and things like that. It's just it's so fascinating. Our history is not what we were taught, you guys, not at all.
What really rocked, and that was very important in the melanin dominant community, because at what they had brought forward, in fact, I did a video like 6 years ago with this crook guy, but it's about their research actually. And, and what they had discovered with those tribes is that, you've got a lot of the Aboriginals saying that they're showing these artifacts and saying that they were seeded here from the Pleiadians, and that the Pleiadians here look just like them. So that means the first Pleiadians here were highly melanin dominant. They did not look like, Kevin Sorbo. And I think that needs to be Kevin Sorbo. And yet, there's all types out there. Well, come on, that's true. They all do. All the Pleiadians look like Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, no, we do the Mayans. Yeah, the origins of the Mayans. Yeah, definitely, they came from the Pleiades. That's what they believe. They were created in the Pleiades and the stars and whatnot like that. And we have a lot of connections to those, the stars and all the constellations, right? So constellation beings, right? And I'm totally 100% with that, and I believe that too in that sense. Okay. So
got another question. I just happen to have this right here. What do you think about this information about this whole thing? Just throw some light on Kinkari and the bird tribes. What do you think about the bird tribes?
The bird beings. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the great spirit, great eagle, and all that, and all them. Yeah, definitely, dude. We honor that all the time. That's why we carry the feathers, and and we honor those and pray with them, and it's such a higher being that carries our prayers to the I should say to the ultra being, the creation, and you want to call it that, and but yeah, like I said, it's a very, very deep connection there with that. Yeah, I don't know what that I don't know what that book is, though. I could be honest with you there. I don't know what that book is, but yeah, there's a lot of connection to that with the beings. But also too, when I was doing a lot of my work, like astrally, doing some work for the Pleiadians themselves, it was there was this moment where I got to ask him, I was like, so what happens with these reptilians when I get rid of them, right? Where are they going? And they're like, and then he's like, all right, just look into my eyes. And I was able to look into his eyes, and he was like, gave me this like visual into my mind. And I seen this like dimension, and there's all these stairs, and there's the bird beings there, and they're commanding all these the reptilians to walk up these stairs into this like, there's like endless stairs all over, but eventually they got to like this purple dimensional cube where they were like being entrapped, encased in and stuff. But
a cube.
Yeah, I was like,
imagine that.
Yeah, but so like these beings, like the bird beings, to me when I seen that were like they were dimensional keepers, protectors, like they were guardians in that sense, and very, very powerful, and like and very high frequency, high vibration, like very intense, very intense energy.
Like raptors, or what kind of birds would you
They
say
had like a body of like they had like a body of a human, but then they had like the head, and they also wore like a lot of like, they had a lot of gold and stuff going on, and like it was very interesting. Like even the one had like a elongated kind of like beak, and it was all gold, like the whole thing was gold. Yeah, but he was a being, and he had like a staff. They were like, yeah, it was pretty intense, dude. but yeah, they're like I said, they're like guardians of this dimension.
And they were wearing gold, like they had on gold chains and stuff.
No, it was like embroidered in their like robes, and like what they were wearing, their cloth like that hung over them and stuff. Like it was like almost like a chest or shoulder chest, like a chest kind of like plate, or not plate, but like arm, like a armor, I should say, like going over, like but it was like embroidered with gold and stuff, like different, like little,
amazing. Wow.
I believe that I've seen gold embroidery on certain extraterrestrial uniforms. The few that have them, I've seen something like that. That's very cool, man. Wow.
But so like I said, they're very highly dimensional beings, guardians, especially like I said, the great spirit, great eagle was always considered a guardian and watcher of the people and whatnot. Like there's tons of tales and like I said, legends about that, right? Like including the great flood, where he came down and helped the people and saved the people and brought them high up into the nest and like on the tree, and then pretty much said, you were all children of me, and so yeah, it's pretty honoring. Like it's an honoring thing. I can't go too much into there, but there's a whole big thing into that, right? So, but yeah, it gets pretty intense. But but there's like a whole bunch of stuff, right? So it's in the history there. But and
it's something that Castaneda had talked about. Is one of his books? It's The Eagle's Gift is the name of it, and it talks about how when the novels told him the universe is actually shaped like an eagle. And when we die, we go in through the beak, and the beak actually consumes our life memories.
Wow.
Soul life memories. Yeah. So that's why they practice this recapitulation, which is reliving every second of your life and bringing the energy back. And then that way that recapitulation is taken with the beak of the eagle, and your soul memories are intact. And then you go on to the creator or whatever. Very interesting, man. And we know that something about the death process, regardless of what it is, takes some of our soul life memories. But I'll tell you, through the work I've done, the personality remains, and it carries trauma with it, and then we reincarnate, and it goes into our organs for another lifetime. Man, that sucks, but it's true. It's real.
Yeah, you carry those the past memory traumas, and you'll even have like a little scar or something from your past past life, But it could be like exactly something that happened, right? And I get that, man. That's so true. There's the tales of that in our tribes. Like there was a boy who was he remembered where all his warrior weapons were. And they were actually able to go and like unbury, and they found his bow and his tomahawk and stuff. And he said this is where he was killed and all that. And when his past life as a warrior and stuff. And there's tales of that happening. And our people remember, I remember you, and like you were my wife one time and all that stuff. Like people, like all these are different things, right? Like it's like, people do remember things like that, or it happens, right? So Yeah.
Yeah, there are kids. Actually, I've seen videos of little kids that claim to remember being World War II airline, like plane pilots
Ghost in
that
My
fought in
Child.
wars and things like that, you know?
There's that show called Ghost in My Child.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, and I think it's, you know, us as adults, it's harder for us to remember that kind of stuff, but children can remember that up to age like 6 or 7, I think. Kids have more past life memories at that point and stuff like that. So, it's interesting. I mean, I am a firm believer in reincarnation and past lives. I have no way around it because I know that I've lived many, many lives here. Many lives.
Right.
Absolutely, no doubt. So,
all of us,
but we do. But it is important to heal that trauma and all the trauma that, you know, is passed down. And it's not only our trauma and the trauma that we've had from past lives, it's our ancestors' trauma as well.
Wow.
So there's a whole lot of trauma. Some of us have a lot of trauma on our shoulders. Okay. And it's about recognizing that and then healing it.
Then you come down here to get a fresh dose.
You get a good dose. You got a whole new dose. Exactly.
Walks around this planet like a member of the population.
We do. We just get all new trauma, but you know we're having fun. I'm working through mine. So, and I know y'all are too. We all are out here. Well, you guys, this has been amazing. This hour is up. We have had such a wonderful conversation. I knew that we would tonight. Travis, where can people find you if they want to follow you on social media and get in touch with you?
All right. Travis Willier, actor, writer, painter. It's on Facebook, or you can contact me there. Travis Willier Moostoos. I also have a Planetary Wisdom YouTube channel. It's just more or less music, but you know, it's what I do. I make funny kind of songs and stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for checking me out on Space Door Radio and always inviting me back. I enjoy being here and sharing some of these tales and some of this knowledge I have within me. And you know, it's always a fun time. You guys are wonderful, and it's great seeing you guys again.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here, Travis. You like I said, you're one of the crowd favorites, you and Barry both. Barry, where can people find you to get in touch with you and watch your videos?
I'm a lot more active on YouTube now, just under Barry Littleton. I don't have any cool handles or anything. I'm on Patreon too, under Barry Littleton. On Facebook, Barry Littleton. My website's barrylittleton.com, but not a whole lot. I'm not on there a lot, but YouTube is a good place.
Okay, wonderful. Everybody, please go subscribe to Barry's Patreon. He so deserves it.
Oh, yeah.
You have such a great Patreon, Barry. And yeah, thank you everybody for being in the chat tonight. Thank you to all my moderators that were here. I always appreciate every single one of you guys, everybody that's here. Please, you know, join me this week on the Cryptid Hunters channel. I'll be live over at the Cryptid Hunters on YouTube, and we have a good time over there. And I'll be back next week. First of all, let me say goodbye to these two guys. Good night, Travis. Good night, Barry. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are y'all just made my weekend. This has been amazing. So I hope y'all will both come back and see me soon. Okay.
All right.
Travis, you better be back. Barry, I know you'll be back. Travis, you better come back. Okay. Y'all have a great week. I'll see y'all soon. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Bye y'all. Bye. All right, everybody, that was amazing. Don't forget that right after this show, After Hours has a great program set up for us in about 30 seconds. They're going to be live. I'm going to see you guys next week on Spaced Out Radio. Off the trails here. Not sure who my guests are. It's been a long weekend, but I'm going to have some amazing shows, and I will see y'all over at the Cryptid Huntress this week. You guys have a great night. I'm Jessica Jones. I'm headed off the trails. I hope you guys have a great night. Y'all be sure to lock your doors and go hang out with the After Hours crew. Bye, y'all.